Where else can I put?
Hi, Dev.
Hi, how are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Tell me about you.
I'm good, I'm good.
Newly shifted to a new place, huh?
Yeah, just moved to Mumbai about a week ago. Not been a week also yet.
So, how is
So
Mumbai
yeah,
treating you?
just been settling in. Uh, it'll take some time, but yeah, been settling it, enjoying the city, I guess.
Okay. So, this is the first time that you have been to Mumbai, or like earlier also you have been to Mumbai?
No, so in my college, first year of college I did was in Mumbai, in data science.
Okay.
So yeah, used to live in Lower Parel back then, so slightly different location now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm kind of used to the nitty gritty things about Mumbai.
Okay, okay. That's good. That's good. So,
Yeah,
you have a new team and grinding CS? Huh?
yeah. You could say that we recently made a roster change.
Yes.
Unfortunate, but it is the norm of Indian Counter Strike.
So
Stuff like that happens.
yeah, this is a big problem. Like
Yeah,
changing the roster just before some event or something, maybe not event also, if the say a player, a important player, like you have made a setup and suddenly a
yeah.
player has to be changed or something, so it
Mm.
becomes, how challenging is it, like how do you deal
Yeah,
with these
it's
things?
it's definitely a challenging task because you can almost never see it coming. It's pretty random. Uh, almost happens most of the time when you don't expect it at all, So, and then all these tournaments that are happening in India right now, and you suddenly have to find a quick and perfect replacement, which is almost impossible. So yeah, we are making do with what we can now. I think we found the best possible replacement for now. Hopefully, it'll work out.
Someone just worked beside behind you.
So I told my roommate
Yeah,
I'm doing a
yeah, yeah.
podcast. So yeah.
Say hi to him also. So Dave, tell me about your CS journey. I know that
Yeah.
you are a person who lives CS, breathes CS, and like you love CS like anything. Like you have been playing it for a long time. You have huge knowledge because before you joining Griffins also, I had long conversations with you. I have known the kind of person you are, very methodical. You think about the game. It's not just you're pugging around, or you properly think about CS and you play a proper CS. So tell me from where your CS journey started.
Right. So I think we'll have to go back a few years, all the way back to the end of 2019 or something.
Okay.
Uh, I used to I used to play like other games, like co-op games with my friends and have fun. Not a lot of FPS games. In fact, during college, I used to play a lot of Fortnite, which I'm gonna get memed for now that I've said it. But yeah, I used to play a
Uh,
lot of that.
yeah.
And then once I switched to like using a keyboard, mouse, and onto a monitor, then I got into FPS games.
Okay.
And I used to watch Counter Strike even before I started playing it. So I used to randomly watch Twitch streams, and I used to come across Counter Strike streams, and I used to watch them a lot. And it was enjoyable, even though I didn't understand everything that was going on. So it always piqued my interest, and I think I started playing it in the end of 2019. I used to practice with bots for a while. Then I started playing and ran into a few people, and then we started playing a lot of
Ever
slowly yeah.
ever went to casuals? D2?
I think
Everyone
I think
started from there.
we've all been there. We've
Yeah.
all spent our fair share amount of time there.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, definitely not gonna lie. When I didn't have a lot of friends, casual was the way to go. Best place to find friends, also, to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
honest.
yeah. Very true, very
So
true.
many,
Yeah.
so many people play there.
Yeah.
Uh, in I think in and around 6 to 8 months, I tried to build a team. I wanted to play more competitively. I didn't have any I didn't have any knowledge of the game back then.
Hmm.
Not a lot about what is a team, how to run a team, or what even is an in-game leader. I had no idea back then.
Hmm.
But soon enough, I ran into good people, and with them I grew and grew and grew. I think the first team we created was Say 10, and then from Say 10 to Rigor Mortis, some team names which most of the people won't even know about. So uh, probably not worth mentioning the names. But the first proper team I joined was Tetroid. Maybe a few people would know about that.
Hmm.
Uh, and I was playing under different IGL back then.
Hmm.
Uh, and I played in that team for a few months, and then I realized, all right, I think I want to play in a team where I can control most of the things, where I can call the shots, where I can set up the system in the way I want. And then soon enough, I created my own team. The first team that was created by me, and I was the ideal of that team, was Gonin, uh, which I think some of the people that are watching might be aware of. We played quite a few tournaments. We had good finishes, second finishes. Also, we didn't really. I don't think we ever won a tournament except maybe um, a tier 2, tier 3 type of tournament. But we had good places. It was a good journey overall. Got to learn a lot through that. I realized the first thing I realized as an IGL after that was that maybe I understand on paper how the system should be. Maybe I understand this is how the team should set up. These are the roles, and these are the types of processes everybody needs to follow to get to a good point as a team. But in Indian Counter Strike, I've realized there are two problems. One problem is we try to implement a system
Hmm.
that is very hard to implement. Everybody on an individual level needs to be on
100%.
yeah
Huh.
they need to be elite to be able
Huh.
to follow
Sure.
that system, because it's not like you cram up the system and you follow the system. Never going to win anything that way. You have to be able to adapt to the system. You have to be able to understand if you're getting countered, how do you move around, how do you outmaneuver different types of things that the CTs are throwing at you, all those types of things. It's hard, it's not easy. So I realized that the system understanding might be there, but implementing it is a whole different ball game. It takes a lot of time, and that brings me to the second problem. Because it takes a lot of time in Indian Counter Strike, the rosters are never stable, so you never really do have a lot of time. I don't think I've ever played in a team uh, which had the same roster for more than 3-4 months. Not even 3 months, probably. Some player might feel like this is not enough. I can probably do better. Some player might feel like this is not the type of Counter Strike I want to play. Some player might just have some personal problems. There are so many different types of issues uh, that are there, because there is no baseline platform in Indian Counter Strike where you can follow like a specific path step by step to becoming uh, a player and getting to a point where you are okay. I can drop the other things in my life and I can focus on Counter Strike absolutely, and it's good enough to carry me through the rest of my life. There is no path like that. So there's always a very high risk factor involved when I'm trying to say that I want to go pro in Counter Strike, or any other player for that matter is trying to say I'm going to go pro in Counter Strike. Leaving for all of these sky orgs, we saw people had to leave their jobs to do that. And I'm 100% sure a lot of people left their jobs are much more higher paying than what the orgs were paying them.
True.
But it's ultimately their passion for Counter Strike
Yeah,
that they want to really play the game.
it's their passion and love that they are doing. Other than that, in Indian Counter Strike, we don't have that. Not only Counter Strike, maybe some mobile games they have money, but then proper esports but that is because of many different reasons. We cannot blame others. We are to be blamed ourselves. What we have done in our past, everyone knows that what we did in our past, and those things accumulated, and the consequences we are facing now. We are trying to change, but then we'll talk about all these things later. Let us start from the beginning. Like you started from 2019, as you said.
Correct.
So we all know that Counter Strike is mechanically a very tough game.
Yeah.
IGLing is a part, but before that, you need to be a decent player.
Yeah.
So, what was your process in becoming a player good enough to have good players play under you? So, what was that journey like? How did you, what was your practice regime? How much did you practice? It will, because if you say all these things, it will be important for the upcoming players who are planning to become good players, tier one players, to understand that what amount of time, what amount of effort is needed to reach a certain level.
Hmm.
So, what was your journey like? How did you practice? Like, what was your practice routine? What did you
Yeah.
do to make yourself a better player?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I don't think, at least at the start of Counter Strike, I don't think anybody has going to have any idea what is the one method to follow to becoming decent at Counter Strike. Uh, Especially mechanically, I think there are probably, if you search up aim routine CS2 CS:GO on YouTube right now, you'll probably get about 100 odd videos explaining different types of things, and it'll make you very confused. So I don't think it's like that there's one method which anybody can follow. Definitely, it's each to their own. And for me, it was the same. I figured it out on the way. I tried different types of routines. I tried different types of things, different types of settings, different type of sensitivity. All of those small factors which matter a lot if you think about them. So it was a journey. Initially I didn't even think about all these things. I just used to play for fun. But I think within 6 months, as I said, I realized that I don't like this playing this game for fun because I don't like losing a lot. I want to play with people who are better than me. I want to play and learn from people who are much better than me, so I can grow into the game. I want to play where it matters. Like I want to win things that matter, not just like some matchmaking games, not just some playing some casual games or something like that. I don't want to do that. If I want to do that, I wouldn't be playing Counter Strike. FPS games wouldn't be what I am in if that was my ultimate goal. So initially, not a lot of thinking in terms of my routines and my regime or my practice. Initially, I just wanted to become better by playing more and more and more. And I think for the better part of 1 year at least, I did that initially. And then when I got into a team, then in the team, my IGL only had this thing where they had this Discord server, and in the server they had different text channels, and in that every day you had to upload 300 rifle kills from deathmatch and 100 pistol kills from deathmatch. So that is what kind of got me into like a consistent type of practice, you could say. Even though if I think back to it now, I don't think it's enough. I don't think 300 kill 400 odd kills in deathmatch is enough on an everyday basis. I think it requires more variety than that to trigger all your different mechanical responses. But at the time, that is what gave me a bit of consistency. I think I was level 4 or 5 in Faceit back then. So I didn't have a lot of idea about what exactly is the process to follow. But uh, that is what gave me a bit of consistency. I followed that for a good few months until I was in that team, and then eventually I became an in-game leader and started running a system of my own. I think I'm quite different than what my IGL was. Uh, he was strict in terms of how he wants to run the team, how he wants his pieces to move around. Uh, like you have to follow those set guidelines in the most perfect manner possible. If you mess up slightly, then the round gets messed up.
Sure.
I don't like that. I don't like to play that type of Counter Strike. I think that type of Counter Strike is probably slightly easier to play, is just because it's one person who's deciding how the round is going to play out. He's going to micromanage everybody on the map. He's going to tell you exactly what you need to do, to be looking at, what utility you need to be throwing. Everything is going to be laid out on a map for you, and you have to follow it T to the T. And that's probably a bit easier because once everybody completely understands uh, that okay, this is the type of system we are following, then maybe it'll work. But that type of system doesn't scale well to a higher level, because on the opposite side of a system, if there are 5 people who are good individually and they're making conscious decisions by themselves, then I think they'll win every single time. Just because 5 people thinking on their own is much faster than one person thinking for 5. And I don't think there can be any doubt to that. There can be any argument to it. But on the other hand, the 5 people thinking each for their own is much harder to implement than to say the system. So that is the type of construct I want to play eventually. That is the type of construct I like to implement. Give freedom to every single player on the team. They call what they want to do. They make their own plays. They make their own decisions. We go down with them. We go up with them. I don't really criticize them for every small micro decisions that they're making, because that's always going to be a learning curve. They're going to slowly improve on them. But ultimately, what matters is that if they're confident enough on their decision making or not. If they are, then I don't think there's ever going to be issues in the team about if we are doing the right thing or not. As long as 5 people think the same way and are on the same page, which is almost impossible to find and like make happen in the current landscape of Indian Counter Strike. But if somehow it was able to all come together, then I think it's a beautiful way to play Counter Strike.
Talking about individuals, Steve,
Yeah,
while selecting your team, what is the
yeah.
process that you go through that these are the players I want in my team? Or do you look at the skill set of the individual, or do you see the mindset of the individual, or you take an average player and you believe that if this particular player works enough, he is going to go to a higher level, or you select the particular player solely depending on the uh, in-server capabilities of that person? What is your criteria, like when you decide that, no, okay, this is the player that I'm going to take? Because recently you said that you made a roster change, like you were forced to make a roster change. Even I was a part of it. We all had to go through that process. So what's your process in taking a new individual into the team? What do you see in the player?
Okay, so I think over time I've quickly realized that the definitely skill is probably the most important factor. How much has the player played? How much experience did he have in a competitive landscape of Counter Strike? What kind of teams has he played in? What kind of tournaments has he played in? Does he perform in tournaments, or is he a pug player? Um, do we think he fits in our system? Do we think that this specific type of attitude is what we want in our team or not? So skill is definitely something which probably supersedes other things. But I think some people mistaken the human part of having a player in your team, and they don't consider it as important as the skill maybe. For me, it's almost equal. I think vibing with the person, that person having good energy, that person bringing something new to the team as a person, uh, and him being able to feel uh, feel like he's comfortable in our environment and us feeling comfortable around him. I think that is almost as equal to him being a good player. Because if I have someone who's extremely good at the game and plays on a very high skill level, and if you ask me any XYZ player who's playing at the top level in Indian Counter Strike today, and you ask me, would you want them in your team? I'll probably say yes. But at the end of the day, if they play with us, they don't like playing with us, or they're just playing with us, let's say, for the org, or they're just playing with us for the money, or they're just playing with us because they think the other players are good enough. I don't think all those factors are important enough as compared to if they enjoy playing with us. I don't think that factor is equal to if they vibe with us enough. I think the word vibe is probably a bit overrated, but in this specific situation, I think it's extremely important that the person is on the same page as you. And it takes some time to be able to realize that. I don't think you can do it over a day, but not only the inside server chemistry matters, the outside server chemistry matters almost as in, like equally to the inside server thing. So that's why I'm saying that skill and personality, that's for me, those are the two most important things. There are some small other factors in terms of, okay, where they're located. If you were ever to have a LAN tournament, would they be able to play with us? If you were ever to have a boot camp, would they be able to travel? Uh, if if their timings match ours, so small logistical issues, you could say. Uh, if all of those things align in place, then it's probably a good shout to give that player an extended run in your team.
So, another very important question, like,
Yeah.
what's so special about Counter Strike that like it glues people around? Like people go so crazy about this game because it's basically the same server, same map.
Yeah.
You play over
Yeah.
and over again, and uh, like the one thing that I would say is that in Counter Strike there is no skill ceiling. Like you can never say that this is the epitome of opping, this is the epitome of rifling. Every time someone has decided to set a benchmark, someone else has come and has taken over it. There was Guardian, then there was Kenius who changed the way opping was. Then now it's simple. He is creating history in every match. He has done phenomenally since last 7 8 years. He has been the top player. When we say about rifling, you think about good rifling. You think about quick aiming. You have Zenterus and all those players. You think about precise and smooth aiming. You have players like Nico. Like I absolutely love Nico. So there is no skill ceiling. So uh, are the things which makes Counter Strike a superb game, a game which glues you, a game that catches you up, gets hanged to it. What is it?
Oh, that's probably the toughest question you've asked me today. I don't think it's an easy, or it's like a one simple answer to it. I think the question has to be answered in a lot of different dimensions. Yes, individuals, iconic individuals over the years, throughout different eras of Counter Strike, whether it was 1.6, whether it was CS:GO, or moving on to the future CS2. Uh, so individuals are always going to be there. I think other games also have some iconic individuals. You can think about Faker. You can think about other good or goated type players from different game titles. So individuals is one part of it, but I think over the years the most appealing thing to me has how the game has grown. As you said, the maps have more or less remained the same. Maybe one map gets swapped out every couple of years or something like that, which is not
Much. It's
like
not much.
yeah,
Ah.
it's not big enough a change.
Hmm.
Uh, so the most appealing thing for me has been the growth in terms of how the game is being played. If you look at how the game is being played, if in CS:GO, for example, towards the end of 2023, and then you go back and look at how the game was being played, let's say 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, the distance between the two types of Counter Strike would be huge.
Yeah.
It's almost unbelievable that the type of I'm not going to say mistakes because people weren't aware of the exact way how to play the game, but if you look at those things back then, people will be like, why is he doing this, why is he doing that, why is he making so many mistakes?
But
But
it's
the,
a meta change, maybe. Like the meta
yeah,
changes.
yeah,
Yeah.
100% I agree, meta has changed slowly and surely over the years, but I don't think meta is the only thing. If you go if you go in the very depth of Counter Strike today, there are so many things. There are so many parameters. There's so many small details that you need to think about. At least on the tier one level, where all these great teams play, whether it's FaZe, whether it's Vitality, whether it's G2, all these great teams that play. If you ask their analyst, if you ask their coach, or even ask their support staff, they would tell you that small details that matter today are nowhere near to what mattered 5 years ago. And that is not just the evolution of Counter Strike; it's the evolution of esports as a whole. Also, I don't think back then people had even a coach. There used to be 5 people going to a LAN tournament, playing, winning, job done. Moving forward, five people, a coach, and then playing a tournament. Now we see 5 people, a coach, and an analyst. Uh, the support staff is behind them. A performance manager is there. A psychiatrist, mental health psychiatrist is
True.
there. So there's so many people around you that are just focused on you performing as best as you can. I
Hmm.
don't think 5 years or not five maybe, but like 10 years ago in an org, any player was supposed to have a routine within the org where they have to go to the gym almost every other day. And they have to maintain their fitness also. They have to maintain their physical health and mental health levels also. Those things are definitely a part of a bigger landscape of the evolution of esports as a whole, not just Counter Strike. But in terms of inside the server, the growth of Counter Strike is what is the most appealing to me, at least as an individual. I am 100% sure that to the normal viewer who just goes and watches tournaments that are happening all around the globe, to them, the biggest attraction would be the crazy things that keep happening over the years, the iconic plays, the the explosive ace rounds or the explosive multi kills that happen, or the crazy clutches which nobody expects when you put Simple in an unwinnable situation and somehow he's the only man on the planet who can win in that situation, or you put Rops on 10 HP in a 1v4 with a
Yeah,
pistol,
he did
and
it.
yeah
He did
and
it.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
he'll hit every single shot without getting hit even once. So the
Yeah.
unthinkable is what 100%. The unthinkable is what is very appealing to the normal viewer. Uh, it is very exciting. I think the casters play a big role in Counter Strike. We have really good casters throughout different tournament organizers, whether it's Blast, whether it's ESL, or even some side tournaments like Elisa or CCT. Even those have decent casters, and they do an extremely good job of hyping all those important moments up and doing the play-by-play casting properly. And that is what builds the tension inside of the viewer when it's 11 when it's I don't know, it's 14-14, and it's an economy turning around, and the caster builds it up properly, and then the other team unexpectedly wins the round. All those types of moments inside the game, they do a good job of doing that. So that is what also is something which is extremely appealing to the viewer. uh, But yeah, I think what you said at the start of the question also is something to take note of. Iconic players over the years uh, are have represented Counter Strike in the best way possible, and different styles of Counter Strike, different types of aiming, different different types of playing Counter Strike. Whether it's an IGL who plays different type of Counter Strike, you can say currently Carrigan or Snappy are one of the best IGLs in the current state of CS. But they do, both of them play very different type of Counter
Very
Strike.
true. Very true.
So yeah, and both of them are good in their own in their own area, in their own type of Counter Strike. So
KDN did wonders for Heroic to be very frank.
exactly. So yeah, and then you have somebody who's opping and playing as an IGL. If somebody's playing as a rifle, and then being the IGL, it's all of these different types of things, and then there being an iconic individual representing that specific area is, I think, something which we've been blessed by also. Like talking about Nico's precise aiming, or talking about Robs's precise movement in clutches and understanding of the game, or talking about Zaiwu playing the game by the book and almost never making a mistake. Talking about Simple playing completely out of the book and then still winning because he does the unexpected and pulls off the unexpected every single time. So there are all these different iconic individuals over the years. Like we are only talking about very recent individuals. That long ago there was Forrest, there was Get Right, there was Neo, there was even Pasha Biceps. All these great Counter Strike players over the years have had an impact on the game as a whole. And I think moving on into 2024, even the Counter 2025, sorry, the Counter Strike circuit is going to become an open circuit. Is the franchise thing is going to almost completely get removed, which is a big decision. But I think that'll invite even more players to come and compete. So that'll only increase the current landscape of Counter Strike. So yeah,
Uh,
that's
talking
what I think.
talking about skills, Dave. Uh,
Yeah.
Tell me the three most important fundamentals of Counter Strike, according
Oh,
to you. Like short and precise. Three basic
mm,
fundamentals of Counter Strike.
right. It's almost impossible to say that three are good enough. But if I were to
Top
rank,
three, maybe. Top three.
yeah, if I were to rank three, then 100%, I think the first is mechanics, especially in the current state of Counter Strike. I think a few years ago, even if you didn't have, let's say, 100% aim, even if you had 70% aim, you still had something you could bring to the table. But in the current state of Counter Strike, I don't think so. I think mechanics overpower anything else. So mechanics definitely. Second has to be the understanding of the game, understanding how to play in a system, understanding how to move around the map, how to react, how to counter different plays, how to create plays of your own, when to make a play, when not to pick a play, all these different types of things. Uh, and that only comes with, I think, a lot of experience playing on your own, and a lot of experience playing in a team. So definitely those two things. And third thing is, I think I'm going to come back to the same thing again. Uh, if I were to talk something about outside the server, I think personality is what matters. I think being a humble player is very important to being able to compete in a team for a long time, in a successful team for a long time. And I think if everybody's seen the phase of Simple, where he used to be this toxic kid. Not gonna say like a toxic kid, but he used to be an aggressive kid for sure. He used to teabag on people. He used to call people out. He used to tell people their shit. And you can look at him now. He still has that aura about him. Definitely, that he thinks he's the best player in the game, and he has every right to do so because he's probably the best player of all time in Counter Strike history. But today Simple is much more humble than the Simple of 5-6 years ago, and that is a fact. And If that doesn't tell us that being humble is the key, it's definitely one of the important factors to being able to compete in a successful team, then I don't know what will.
Very well said, Dave. But don't you think it's the same for everyone? Like Nico, you say the best man to ever hold a rifle also had the
Yeah,
same issue. Also had the same issue. He was also pretty arrogant. Uh,
yeah.
so, but they have been pretty successful though. But over the course of time, they have changed themselves.
True, I agree. But when has Nico been most successful? Do you think Nico in Mouse Sports was very successful? I think as a rifler, yes. As a team, no. Do you think in phase Nico was very successful? He tried to IGL, he tried to OP, he tried a whole lot of different things. But phase didn't win championships.
True.
They bottled the major in Boston against Cloud9. When has Nico really become successful? I would say when he came to G2 Esports, he became successful. He won Katowice, he won IM Cologne. He came close to winning a major, won a lot of tier one tournaments, created a
That digger shot,
huge,
he is going to
yeah,
remember.
he created a huge map win streak also.
Yeah,
So I think the success came to him in G2. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be arrogant. I 100% think that you have to have a sense of aura about yourself. You have to have this thing in your head that, okay, I believe in my mind that I am the best and I am going to play like it. I'm going to be confident in my style to show that I believe this firmly in my head. And I'm going to impose my style of play onto the game. I want to make an impact. I think that is the type of arrogance which is important. The type of arrogance which demeans other people or tells other people that you're not good enough or you're shit, you're nothing compared to me. I think that is what might cause the downfall of some people.
very true. Very
Uh,
well said, Dave. Very well said.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think arrogance is important, but just in the right
Toxic
direction. Just
toxic arrogance is something which we don't want.
yeah,
You can believe that you are the best player. That might
exactly. Yeah.
that might help
He,
you perform
yeah,
in the server, but demeaning someone, being toxic with someone never helps. That's true. That's true. Very well said, Dave. Uh,
yeah.
Dev, now let's talk about Griffins. So
Yes.
what are the weapons that you have in your quiver? Let us know what are the which are the arrows you have. कौन सा असला बारूद लेके बैठे हो? Tell me about the players a bit. कौन कौन
All
है?
right. Right. So we played a few tournaments. Like I think last couple of months. I think we competed in Geo Geo games. We competed in DreamHack qualifiers. We had some close games, lost some games we could have won because we were an inexperienced team. Funnily enough, when I thought we were getting slightly close to becoming an experienced team, we had to make a roster change, which was unfortunate. Some stuff happened, and our fifth player decided to leave. So we had to find a quick solution to that.
Want to talk about that?
But
The fifth player leaving?
no, I don't know. And yeah, okay. I mean, I don't mind talking about him. Uh, so we had, so our first team that signed for Griffins was me as the in-game leader. Then Friday, AD, Shatter, and Legface. And Legface was the opera in our team, and the rest three completed the 5-man. Uh, so the player who decided to leave after 2.5 to 3 months was Legface. Uh, good kid, but you know how it is with kids. Uh, stuff gets to them. College life gets to them sometimes. Uh, a lot of stuff on their plate which they have to take care of, and they really can't choose which side to move towards, which side to lean towards. They want to lean this side, they want to lean this side, they want to move forward at the same time. It's impossible. It's impossible to manage. It's never going to work in a long term thing. So yeah, so he decided to make a decision, and the decision was not to focus as much on Counter Strike compared to other priorities he has in life, which I respect.
Fair enough.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's important to know what your priorities are. It's honestly it's really bad if you're stuck in a limbo. I don't think that's an ideal situation to be in. So it was important he made his choice, and I respect the choice he made, even though I wished the choice was different. Because the kid had a lot of potential. He could have done a lot more than
Very
he
true.
showed on the server. He just needed to put his head in the right place. He decided to put it somewhere else, which is fine. It's his life and his decisions to make, so I respect it.
Uh, so yeah, maturity plays a big part in CS.
Definitely.
CS is not
Yeah.
a game for the matured people. I think maturity is very important when you are trying to play CS, and more or less when you are trying to play professional CS. So
Yeah.
we got a replacement. Who is the replacement? Introduce.
Yeah. So the replacement is Aditya. His in-game name is Swaggy,
Okay.
and he's the new operator for Griffins. We made that decision, I think, last night, probably 2 days ago.
Okay.
All of that happened very quickly. We only had a few days before the Gladiators League tournament started, and that tournament was important to us. We even thought about having a stand-in for the tournament, and then thinking about a player permanently. But I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to stop the process of the team. Even though the tournament is important to us, I didn't want to stop the process of the team. I wanted somebody who we can trust enough in the long term. We know that, okay, this is the person we want to go with. It's definitely extremely hard to make that call and as quickly as a matter of 4 to 5 days. But we played with him, we played scrims with him, we tried him out. Everybody has their own flaws, but as long as there is mutual acknowledgement between all 5 players about their flaws, I think everybody can work on those things and improve themselves. So we felt he's a good fit personality wise. He vibed well with us, and he'll grow with us in the server also over the course of time.
Yeah. So what about the other players? Tell me two lines
Right.
about them.
Right. So the other players, right. So there are 3 other players. Swaggy I already talked about, and there are 3 other players in that. We have AD and Friday and Shutter. Those are the 3 other players. AD Friday are 2 people I've played with for a long time, in
Hmm.
and out of different teams. There was a break in between of a few months where I wasn't in a team and they were in a different team of their own because they were trying to compete in LAN tournaments. So they were playing with local players from their city. But I first played with them, I think, in 2021 or 2022, 2021, I think.
Old players are
Yeah.
with you, huh? That
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense.
So I
Okay.
think, yeah, definitely it's at least been 1.5 year uh, of playing with them. There were some, as I said, there were some breaks in between. So that is there. But other than that, it's been almost 1.5 year that we've competed together. And it's been a journey. We've had some good moments. We've had some, as I said, some good place finishes in tournaments. We've beaten some good teams. We've lost some games we're not supposed to, but we've grown together. We've grown fond of each other in playing as a team together. So when I got this opportunity of playing for Griffins and playing in under an org, and I had all the resources in terms of that I had to make the call of, okay, what the this is the roster I want it to be. So I want them to be within the team. So I think both of them are pretty irreplaceable for me. Um, if I were to ever think about replacing them, then I'd consider playing in a completely new team of my own. I wouldn't even try to. I think they're the 2 main
Pillars
people
of
that I
pillars of
want to
your
play.
team.
Yeah, yeah.
AD is a superb aimer, and Friday, the kind of experience he has,
Correct. Yeah.
he brings in a lot.
Friday on his days, One of the best Indian Counter-Strike players I know. So,
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Everyone says that he's Friday is one of the best players that you're going to find.
yeah.
No doubt about that. No doubt.
Yeah, he has a lot of like a wealth of experience
Yes.
behind him. He works also and still never complains
Yeah,
in terms of practice, in
very
terms
true.
of turning up on time. He's always there. He's always grinding.
If he's
He's
not getting enough FPS, also whatever he deals with
yeah,
his own shit
yeah,
and never complains. That's the beauty
yeah.
of this person.
He had issues with his keyboard, issues with
Yeah,
his peripherals. He was always playing, always there, never complaining. This
superb guy.
being there is just being there is important. That says a lot about his mentality, and I have the utmost respect for that. And on the other hand, AD is the I think is the smartest guy
He's a killing
we have.
machine.
Yeah, smartest guy we have in the team, and mechanically the most gifted player we have in our team.
True. He's a killing
So
machine, headshot machine. I have seen him play. It's superb. What
yeah,
player he
yeah,
is.
yeah, multi-kill machine. That's what I feel.
Very true. And these are the player who can actually compete to the best.
Yeah, I
Now,
agree.
this year's Gladiators League, all the
Wait,
top. Yeah,
one
yeah.
second. Sorry to interrupt you. If I don't say anything about Shatter, then he'll probably tell me
Yeah, yeah,
why
yeah.
are you not talking about me? So
Sorry, sorry. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm gonna say something about him also.
You,
Shatter is he's the most energetic guy in the team.
yeah,
And the most important thing I think is like some people might not like his mentality because it seems like he loses or he loses badly and he still says that the opponents are bad and whatever. Like he has that mentality. But I think the key takeaway I have from that mentality is that nothing phases him. He might
yeah.
lose. He might
The-
lose badly. He might die on the same lurk 3 times, right? But he'll go for it a fourth time just because he thinks this time we've done something differently over the course of the round to give him a better opportunity of making it work. So I think that is an extremely important thing to have, playing like you want to win and not playing like you're not trying to lose.
True.
And that is something which speaks volumes about him. Uh, and I'm happy to have somebody who has that winning mentality or hating to lose type of mentality, which I think is better than the winning mentality, by the way. I think hating to lose is much better than wanting to win.
The intensity of that player is always high. He's always
Yeah.
at the top. Like
Yeah. You can never have a quiet
whatever the
voice
outcome.
when Shatter is
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
You can never have, yeah. It's
Uh,
never quiet when he's around. So,
I have seen him after losing games, important games, and he's all
yeah.
high in energy, like the intensity. One of those guys who keeps the spark going. So it's good. It's good to have such a player like that. Dave, to end this particular podcast,
Yeah.
I would like to ask you a very serious question. That is, what do you think about Indian Counter Strike in next 5 years?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is an extremely hard question. As I said earlier, also, I think I talked a little bit about Indian Counter Strike and its current landscape. With Sky Sports entering in, and because of Sky Sports, a lot of other tournament organizers like Upthrust or Asus ROG or even Nosra Gaming. So yeah, a lot of different tournament organizers we've seen over the past few months organizing a bunch of Counter Strike tournaments. So it's definitely lively. Like the scene is there. Like it's much better than what it was. I think about an year ago. An year ago, it was on the verge of dying. I think the announcement of CS2 was a big catalyst in terms of the uprise again. So there are tournaments, there are teams, there are some orgs also which are paying a salary to their players and providing boot camps to their players. But it's obviously nowhere near to the scene of Counter Strike in, let's say, EU Tier 2 or even EU Tier 3. Even academy teams probably get paid a lot more. They compete in a lot more tournaments than the Indian players do. Some of it comes down to the skill level of the Indian players. Some of it comes down to the limitations of the SEA region. and it not being able to make a dent in the history of Counter-Strike ever. Like except Tailu qualifying for majors for a lot of years, and then Mongols doing some good tournaments over the past year or so. I don't think other than that, Asian Counter-Strike had much to show for in the history of CS:GO. Outside of SEA, that is. On an international level, we never got to the point where it's like, oh, this is the team to watch out for, where even, the tier 1 EU teams are thinking that there's an opportunity where there might be in trouble, where they might have to push that extra bit harder. I don't think any EU tier 1 teams has ever been scared of an Asian team,
Why,
because
why,
Asian teams
why
for
do
the
you think
longest,
so? Why
yeah,
is that? Because is it,
because
yeah,
because the Asian teams, I think, for the longest period of time relied on mechanics.
okay.
I'm not going to say that they didn't try to play, like they didn't try to play Team CS. They did. They played on trades. They played on their aim, which, yes, 100% their aim is extremely good. It's on the level of the best tier 1 players, if not better. A lot of Asian players have extremely good aim. So they were playing to their strength, but that is never going to, as I talked about earlier, also, it's never going to scale to the highest level possible. They were trying to play in a system created by their IGL or their coach, that, okay, this is the type of style we want to play, and 5 players will aim with that style. That is it. It's not 5 people making conscious decisions of their own at all times. It's not them trying to adapt to the style of EU Counter Strike. It's not them trying to play in a proper system where they're doing everything step by step by step. And I'm only really talking about Tailu when I'm saying all of this, because they were the ones who qualified for majors almost every time in the first few years of Counter Strike. And they brought this style. They brought this chaotic, aggressive, out aim you type of style. And yeah, sometimes it works, but if the other team has a good idea about what they're doing, then it's not going to work. And I think the learnings of that are quite clear. Mongols that have had a resurgence in the Counter Strike scene over the past 2 years have shown us that if you try to play in a structure, it's possible for an Asian team to play in a structure. You can perform and maintain your aim while playing in a structure. Yeah, Mongols might have not won any tier 1 tournaments, or they might not have won, uh, been the consistent best team in Asia. Even that they haven't done. But they've shown if you try to play in a structure, you can go head to head against the best EU teams, against the best NA teams, for example, and still be competitive. They won. They won against Gamer Legion in the major. They won against Heroic in Pro League, I think it was. They won against. They won a map against G2 also. So it's not easy to be able to pull all of that off, considering how much is support staff, how much resources these big organizations have behind them compared to, let's say, Mongols or a Lin Vision or a Rare Atom, which is now Tailu. But and that speaks volumes about the fact that if you try to implement the system, it'll take time. You will lose. You will be made a fool out of by the better teams who have been playing in the system for years and years now. But if you try to adapt to it, eventually you can make it click.
What about Indian teams? Like, how good are Indian teams? The top tier Indian teams. You talk about
Oh,
God's Reign, you talk about all
I
those.
think I think God's Reign recently played in the one code Frontier tournament against Greyhound on pretty high ping. They're playing in a stand-in, but their stand-in is no joke. It's Pokemon, uh, who's played in good teams in the past, uh, and they lost 13-8 or something like that.
Not
And the
bad.
game was six. The game was 6-6 at some point. It was
Not
pretty
bad. It's
close.
pretty close. Huh?
And Greyhound is a tier 1 AU. It's not a tier 1 AU team. It's the best Australian team.
Australian team. Yeah.
It's the best Oceania team, to put it in one region. It's the best Oceania team. It's the one team that qualifies every single time from Oceania to every major, to every ESL Pro League to all those tier 1 tournaments that you see. So 13-8 is not a bad scoreline against them. Whether the difference of those 5 rounds is extremely big, the skill gap is extremely big, I don't know. 6-6 at some point seems like it was a pretty competitive game, at least up until that point. So with Counter-Strike 2 coming out, with the economy type thing changing, the dynamic of how you save, how you force in rounds changing a bit, uh, pistol rounds matter now more than ever, force by rounds matter now more than ever. All these types of things changing, the meta shifting, and still the game being a work in progress. I think there is a real opportunity for every team out there to be able to compete, because see, the platform is coming slowly and slowly. If you're able to play against a Greyhound as an Indian team, I don't think you could have done that a year ago. I don't think they could have competed against the best Asian teams also a year ago, until the only thing possible was ESCA, for example, and you had to get through a lot of matches in ESCA and qualify to playoffs, and then qualify to Challenger League, and then maybe you get to play against the best Asian teams, which is an extremely hard process as possible. But Godsrain finished third in ESCA and they qualified to the playoffs as well. So that also says a lot about them. I think they are definitely the strongest team right now. There's no doubt about that in my mind, that they're the
Even though
strongest team.
they recently have a roster change, two of the
Yeah,
players
I
were
know. I know about the recent roster changes. They had they swapped Fired Up for Raven, and they swapped Cyclone F for
Amber.
Ember. Ember, yeah. I think Cyclone F is one of my favorite Indian Counter Strike players. I respect him a lot for his grind, his growth. I know him all the way back from when he used to play for Enormity. And from that to get to the point where he is today, I think he's probably the best lurker in India. I don't think there is anybody that even comes close to his level of understanding of the game. So that is a definite upgrade. I do not know about Ember a lot. I faced against him in one tournament back in the day. I know he's a good player. I know he's an experienced player. He used to play in Headshot Esports long ago, Ember and Loki and all those guys. But Cyclone is an upgrade, 100%, just because he's the best rifler in his role you can find in India right now. About Fired Up and Raven, there can be a debate. I think everybody has an opinion of their own. I like Raven. I think his grind and his growth over the last few years, him leaving everything else just to do everything he can in Counter Strike and then rising to the point he has today, is commendable. It's no easy task. It's an extremely risk full option to abandon all the other things in life and completely focus on Counter Strike. And the support of his parents must have been there, the support of his friends, the support of all the people that matter must have been there, and he's proved them. He's proved everybody who doubted him wrong. He's proved himself right, and he's shown that, okay, I'm here. I sit at the top of Counter Strike in India, and
Even
if
even in Sky Sports Masters also, he was a player to watch out for. Like
100%,
he
yeah,
was he was
even
the winner.
the even the players and the coaches who were watching from outside of India, there's a coach of Endpoint known as Forg. Even he said that he was impressed by Raven and Finn the most, I think, after that tournament. And Raven definitely, as I said, I respect him a lot. I think he is definitely one of the top oppers in India and would be an asset for any team to have. It's a slightly uh, puzzling thing to think about, that they made a change when they were winning so much.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's surprising actually. Very
yeah, it's a
surprising.
bit surprising. They must know something behind the scenes which we are not aware about. Maybe there were some issues with.
Nothing against Fired Up, super whopper,
Yeah,
mechanically gifted. But then changing a roster when the team is doing so good.
yeah. According to me, don't fix something that isn't broken. I think that's what I follow. If it's going really well, there is no reason absolutely to try to uh, break it just because you think you're trying to get ahead of time, and you're making a change in advance because you think this is what's going to happen. Sometimes it works, sometimes it bites you. I think, for example, you can look at a change Vitality made when they removed Dupree right after winning the major,
Yeah.
and they brought Flames in just because they thought that Flames is available for a much lower price that he would be normally. And he's only 21, and there is so many good years ahead of him. CS2 coming out, the hunger for the grind, all those types of things they considered and they signed him. Would I say it paid off? I think it did. Like they've won since then. They won two, three more tier one tournaments with different rosters, and it worked out. Dupree still played for Heroic, and he did well also.
Not the
So
same thing happened with Navi. Navi also tried the same thing with Ima, but then I think that was not
correct.
a, that was
Yeah,
that didn't pay it
yeah,
off.
yeah. It didn't pay off. At least
Yeah.
not initially. It didn't.
Yeah.
For the first few months, it didn't. I think now the project in Navi is probably working a bit better than it was.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say the problem was simple because he wasn't. He never will be. But with not having an ego as big as Simple in the team and having Wonderful, who's also an extremely good opper with great stats in the past 6 months, is probably the perfect replacement you could have found. And now I think Navi are going to be on an upward trajectory. So yeah, these types of roster moves. Sometimes you try to get ahead of them. You try to, as the manager of the team or as the person who's responsible for these the signings, or even if maybe the team inside the team, the teammates might have had a say in that. So all these things combined, sometimes it works, sometimes it horribly fails. I hope for God's reign that it doesn't. I hope Fired Up will. I think personally that Fired Up is a good offer. I think in a system, I like Fired Up a lot more than any other offer. That is an opinion I've maintained for the longest of times. I've seen Fired Up play for Wicked Gaming. I've played against Fired Up in Wicked Gaming. I've seen Fired Up play in a variety of different teams, and I think
Fired
once
up,
he's
Kill Switch. These are the super players,
correct.
huh? Kill Switch is
Yeah.
playing this year in GL, I guess. Is from ROG.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Right. I think that's a different kill switch. I'm not sure, but
Is it the
uh,
same Kill
I
Switch? No.
don't think
Okay.
so. I
Okay.
think it's a different kill switch. That kill
Okay.
switch, I think, went abroad for studying or job or something. I'm not so sure.
Okay. Yeah. In-game name.
Right.
Okay. So,
Correct.
what about GL this year? Who are the players you are looking at? They might be ominous. Who are the
I mean,
players?
all the orgs have extremely good players. And obviously there is kingpins. I'm
20
not
teams
gonna.
this year, Dave. 20 teams coming. I think it's the biggest participation in a league tournament in India's Counter Strike. We see 7, 10, 10 teams, and this year we have 20 top teams from India and Pakistan participating in GL. So,
Yeah, 20 teams is a lot, definitely
and
for
in a league system game, so you get a lot of games. So the objective of GL was to provide with like higher number of games, more games, frequent games, which actually helps you prepare better. Because I have seen teams searching for screams
yeah,
to make their coordination better. And mostly the tournaments that happen are basically knockouts. So in one map, you might falter. You might think that okay, in that particular map, we didn't do enough and we were outplayed. We could have done better if we had another chance. So this is the perfect place where we give all those matches to a team where a team can actually uh, prepare themselves or maybe correct their mistakes, and maybe a team which started the league not so well can become a dangerous team at the end of the tournament and league. That is the thing, that the idea of GL that we wanted to give more matches to the teams, a environment where it's basically a comparison between T20 and test matches. In a test match, you get 5 days. You can be down and out on the first day, and you can come back on the second day. So that is what the system of GL is. You get a lot more games, a huge number of teams, uh, more than 143 players registered. It's superb. Top teams playing, top players of India playing. So what do you think is going to be the environment in the tournament, in the experience of the tournament.
Yeah, I think it's, as you said, I think the tournament's good for getting a lot of reps in
Yeah.
for a lot of teams. You get a lot of different matches with a different variety of opponents over the course of the league stage, and then moving into the playoffs, starting from the quarterfinals all the way to the final. So there are a lot of good teams. I think out of the 20 teams, at least half of those teams are teams that can win the tournament.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Very true.
all the orgs can win the tournament. Obviously, there's Enigma. There is what else do we have? Enigma. Then there's Kingpins, which is not an org, but it's technically
All the orc
uh,
players.
all the org players. So that is there. Then there are other
Yeah.
teams also. LOT is there, which is a good team. So there are some solid teams,
They've
which definitely.
let me tell you the names of those players. Wait. We can talk briefly about them. Uh,
Yeah, there's plus W1,
hmm.
and there is Wasted Potential. Uh, there is ROG Academy. So yeah, there are good teams in there. Good teams of the in recent Counter Strike history of that tournaments that have happened in the past 3 months. I think
Hmm.
ROG Academy's performed decently enough.
Hmm.
Kingpins is a very strong team. Kingpins led by Bhavi, which is a guy who I respect a lot for the person he's become today. Someone who's inspired me actually. Something I didn't share earlier is someone who's inspired me actually to continue my journey on as an IGL. Someone I've learned a lot from. So yeah, Kingpins is there. They
We
have
have
Raven also.
we have
Uh,
Wawa from
yeah, there's
Pakistan.
Vava, which is a good Pakistani team. Then there's LOT Gaming, which is a strong, extremely strong team. Some of the players I personally know about.
You played with
Uh,
few of the players in that team, isn't it?
correct. I played with Mishu. I played with Sukizi in teams before. Both those players are strong individually, and their team as a whole has been playing together for a while now.
Hmm.
So somebody to watch out for. They even played in a Taiwan Excellence Gaming LAN against God's Reign, and they gave God's Reign a tough fight to showed them that we are there, we are coming for you. So definitely a team to watch out for. There's Enigma Gaming, which recently made a roster change, bringing in Ghost XT instead of Rider,
Yes.
which is an upgrade, I'd say. I like Ghost XT. I've played with him a few times. Think he's a phenomenal player, and more than that, an amazing personality. Brings amazing energy to the team.
Very true. So Dave,
Yeah, yeah,
thanks for joining. It was an amazing conversation. We don't talk about Indian CS much, and
yeah, definitely.
in this channel we intend to do that more with some more guests with you also. Maybe I'm going to invite you again,
Yeah,
talking about different aspects of the game, more mechanics, more detailed discussion about maybe different maps, because you are one of those person who knows a lot about all those things, has you do proper study about all those things. So thanks for joining in.
yeah.
It was
Thanks. Well,
it was a excellent pleasure to have you in my podcast. And to all the viewers, stay joined in, tuned in, and we'll be bringing more beautiful conversations, more beautiful podcasts regarding Counter Strike in India, and we all can bring the change together. It's not going to happen by one person or maybe a few people. We all need to be together, stay focused, play legit. That is another important thing that I hate to say. Play legit, and yeah, everyone can be a good Counter Strike player if they want to be, isn't it, Dev?
yeah,
Yeah,
I absolutely agree with that. With Counter Strike 2 coming out, I think it's the best time to be grinding the game as much as possible, get ahead of the curve.
yeah, very true.
So yeah, thanks for
Thanks,
having
Dev.
me
Yeah,
on, and thank you for all the people who watched and the people who support us. Not just us as Griffins support Indian Counter-Strike as a whole. Thank you
Yeah.
to all those loyal people. And yeah, thanks for having me on. Hopefully I'll be here again.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Thanks. Bye bye.
All right.
Take care. Bye.
See you guys.